We'll do it live.
Okay. Well, no.
Do it live! F it. Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
What is up, everybody? Bobby here, the Nintendo Guru. Welcome to another episode of Nintendo Talk Live. Today I am joined by the wonderful Josue Ponce. How you doing, Josue?
I'm doing good, Bobby. How are you?
I'm very good, very good.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, stop, please. Are you kidding me, man? You gotta be insane. Of course I'm inviting you.
Dude.
So, for those that aren't sure who Josue is, Josue runs a little website called NinMobileNews. And little is just, that's not really true. It's an amazing website. But yeah, man, how's things going? How you been doing?
I've been doing good. I've been busy, with the launch of the site. We launched it during E3 time, day of Nintendo's E3. So we've been really hard at, working on it, recruiting our team. So it's been long nights. It definitely has been, but it's paying off, and the community has been very positive about it.
Yeah.
So it's that, I think, just makes it worth it all the time.
Absolutely. I mean, dude,
yeah.
We've known each other for a while now. I think it was last summer you and I were doing this huge giveaway thing, this insane giveaway thing. We did stuff with Gonda Chris and all that, and it's insane, man. It's nuts.
It was weeks. Yeah, it literally was weeks after weeks of giveaways. It was just nonstop.
Yeah,
it was
a different amiibo every single week. It was it was when we first started talking about it, we're this. What is wrong with us? This is insane. So, okay, so real quick, I want to hit the chat. We got Lucas Lore in the house, John Fitzpatrick, Nintendo Talk Patrick over there.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Man, I don't even Aloan Umbre. I don't even know how to. You know what? I can't mess with names like this. Sean Capri's probably watching. Sean is watching. He's probably laughing, going "There's Bobby trying to mess with the names."
No, but real quick shout out to Sean. Today is his birthday, correct?
Yes,
again,
happy birthday, Sean!
Big happy birthday! Yes. So if you guys are watching this, go check him out. Go check his channel. Go check everything that he's doing.
Yes.
Amazing job. Go check him out.
My boy Gabe Hills is here. So thank you guys for coming out. First off, that's first and foremost. But yes, happy birthday to Sean. Yeah. He's my co-host on If We Ran Nintendo. He has an amazing show called We the Gamercast. Go check that stuff out. Actually, Josue, you interviewed with Sean a while back, man.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, I did. No, I'll say something. So, I've been following your channel for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was introduced to Sean because of your channel, and I started listening to you guys when you guys were doing your stuff, and then I kind of segued into listening to his podcast. Yeah. And what I've said to both of you guys is you guys are very natural in what you guys do. You guys are very good at what you guys do. So I love the different topics that you guys talk on a weekly basis, and I'm always one of those people who will always check in back with you guys just because I love your content.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Keep it up to both of you guys.
Oh, stop. Thank you. A low line umbrella. I really don't know how to pronounce it. That's he's yelling at me in the chat. I apologize. Cal Zero, what is up, buddy? How you doing? You know what though? I have to say this. So at E3 this year, at Nintendo's announcement, I started Nintendo Talk, and I decided I'm going to do this thing where every single day I'm going to grab the top Nintendo news of the day. I'm going to talk about it. Nintendo Talk Live totally came on an offshoot different. I just stumbled upon this. And this has to go to Sean. Sean taught me how to use OBS and to get all this up and going and to make it all work out. So, but I really got to thank you because this whole Nintendo Talk basically runs off of the news that I'm grabbing off of your website. Lucas Lore will tell you. Lucas Lore is dude, is there a day that you don't say or give a shout out to Nintendo Talk or NinMobileNews? You're constantly talking about. But honestly, I go to your website that's the first place I go, and I go, okay, what's the top headlines of today? I grab it, and then I'm constantly grabbing that stuff. Like I grab you, Nintendo Everything. I sometimes get like Nintendo Wire. I get from them. Like, but I like to go from the smaller guys, just because you guys are just like I feel like we're kindred spirits. We're both coming up.
Yeah.
We're both trying to build something, but your news, man, it's like you're on top of everything, man. It is insane.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
No, I try. Like, I mean, what I was telling my team, especially now, like we're growing, it's definitely for the first, at least, our development so a backstory for people who don't know me and at least how we started. We really grew up during the Pokemon Go days. I mean, I had something called Amiibo Steel, which pretty much was kind of like helping people, get in-stock notifications about Amiibo and not getting them that information. Because at that time, Amiibo was like super rare and it was really hard to find. So a lot of people were kind of like, I think, misinformed as to how to get them on time. And most people went to eBay. So I kind of was very bothered on that. And for a year, I did Amiibo Steel and it worked well. Then I segued into doing PokeSteel, which is kind of like my own twist on kind of like covering news for Pokemon Go.
Yep.
And that did really well for a bit until I kind of had, I guess, a problem. I feel as content creators, it gets to a point where you're so passionate about doing something, and if you're not doing it on a daily basis, you're kind of craving for it. Mm-hmm. You want to do it. You want to be hands-on. So it scared me to kind of cover Nintendo news just because I'm telling you, like, every 30 minutes or so, there was always something to talk about. Yeah. It's either a new game that was just announced, especially now with Switch, there's so much to talk about that for a bit, I've been really kind of like afraid into doing that just because I knew that it would be super time consuming. Mm-hmm. But my gut was telling me, do it. So for the time being that I rebranded, I was pretty much doing everything alone. Yeah. But now with the team joining in and whatnot, it definitely has helped a lot. And everyone who's helping on our side and everyone who's contributing information onto, our community, I'm super appreciative. Like, we've gotten to a point, where we're still growing. We're not super big, but I think, we're in a good pace where we're at and where we're going.
I don't know. Like, I'm sitting here and Patrick from Nintendo Talk just says to me, like, dude, how are you doing this interview and not posting? Like, dude, you ever get to this point where it's like, I can't do this because I have to be on top of this news? Like, what? Like, okay, here's my question. Are you ever at a point where you're in the middle of dinner and you have to stop what you're doing to run to the computer to go do an article or something or get something up there? Because you are on top of everything. It is insane.
So to give you, to give you an idea of my schedule, of how I sleep and my schedule on that is, I used to be one of those people who would sleep very early. Like, I mean, I would sleep from 8 or 9 o'clock at, whatever, when I was doing my own thing and I wasn't really taking it like super intensely as I'm doing now. Yeah. So every single day I wake up at 6 in the morning, 5 to 6 in the morning, and I start covering the news. And then I sleep till 3, 4 in the morning and wake up again a couple hours later to continue doing it. Definitely there are times where I might not even be at home, and thank God for my phone. I live off this. I bet. Because, dude, anything that I can get my phone, if I have a computer nearby, I always try to get the news out as fast as I can. Mm-hmm. And if I see it quicker, I just go on it. I just do it. Definitely there's been many times, including where, today especially, I was, taking my trip and, we were driving and stuff, and I was still on my phone covering it. I love doing what I do, and I think that's very important, at least. That's what has helped me, just because I'm very passionate about it. I
mean, look, I don't think there's any secret. Like, you and I, we're not Rockefellers. We're not making money doing this. We're not, the money that does maybe come in from time to time is like peanuts compared to anything. And it's like, for me, we were just talking about this before we went live, and I'm like, dude, I just want to get to the point where I can maybe just go get a part-time job, not have to work my job that's super stressful and all that, and just find something that, because I'm not going to stop. I love doing this. It's so much fun to be able to play games with the community. This week has been a blast. You know what I mean? And to just do this, sit down and talk to people that I consider to be friends and just pick their brain on stuff and get them exposure and all. And it's so much fun. You know what I mean? Yeah. Listen, tell Nintendo to stop over there. He's getting getting alerts. See, this is what happens. This is exactly what's going on.
This is my life. It just happens.
It's funny.
And I think, Bobby, like, that is so important too. The fact that you love what you're doing and you're passionate about it, and your content. Like, again, I've been watching you since your early days, and now going into doing Nintendo Talk. You're really growing into your own, which I love, and you're like finding kind of like what you love doing, and it's been working for you. And I think that's so important. Like, you're going in a really good direction. And dude, I mean, I watch you every single day. Every day that I watch you. So
thank you.
Seriously, I keep up.
It's fun. It's been a blast. It really has. And like you were saying earlier, like, you need to find time to pivot. You know what I mean? From time to time, like, you'll get into these things where it's like you can't see. You have blinders on. You really can't see what's going on, and it's like, okay, I need to stop, take a pivot step, and like fix. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't like you, dude. Like, you took that time where like Amiibo Steel was growing, but it stopped, and exactly. And you were like, I gotta find something new. And then Pokemon Go comes across, and like now you're running 2 accounts, and you're going this way. And then you take Poke Steel, and you're just like, you know what? We're gonna go with NinMobileNews. Like, I think that was a brilliant move. Like, moving from Poke Steel to NinMobileNews, it was just, you did it at the right time, and that's the thing. Like, in the times that I've watched you, and I've watched you change, it's like you're hitting it just before the wave crashes. You know, it's like you're just boom, pivot. So that's amazing that you're able to do that and to keep on top of all that stuff. Garrett Bland just joined.
Welcome.
A couple more people. Nintendo Impact Gaming. He's here.
Hey, Barry, what's up?
Yeah, Barry's a nut. Barry Dunn is a nut. I love Barry, though. Russ is here. Joshua Brown is here. Fernando is here. We got a full house, man. Aaron Daughtry is here. We got 15 people here right now. This is amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for all coming out.
Thank you.
So let's start with this.
Okay.
Because it was a week ago. A week ago tonight, you started blowing up my phone, like right about now. You started blowing up my phone, going, Bobby, the SNES Classic is up at Walmart. Go. And I was like, okay, I'm going, right? So I go, and I go, Jonathan Brown, not Joshua. I'm sorry, Jonathan Brown. Seth Hay is in the house. There's the boy.
Damn.
Seth Hay. But, so you find out, I want to know this, like, you obviously got one, right?
Yes. Okay. So I definitely, like, what I do, just like, I guess for people who don't know how I do it, is I definitely make sure to keep you guys updated first, and then I always input my order afterwards.
Yeah.
I got my order in right after tweeting it, because I was like, I'd rather let people know now, and then whatever, if I get it, preferably I get it through Amazon. Yeah. But I was like, I'm going to try it.
Yeah. So you got one. And then, on a scale of 1 to 10, like, how devastation, like, did you know that the cancellations were going through before? Like, were you hearing rumors first, or did you get the note and then all the rumors started up?
So, usually at least with Walmart and some of the retailers, how they do it too, it's that definitely, I think people, and it kind of surprises me that people haven't learned it yet. Sometimes it happens where people get cancellations because either they ordered more than one product. When they order like 2, 4, or whatever, then that's like absurd. And of course, their thing will be canceled. Yeah. So that started happening, but it was more of a trend for people who ordered too many. Yeah. And then it got to a point where people were getting cancellations. So it was kind of just like, at that point, I was assuming, just because of how long I've been doing this, it's, maybe Walmart had oversold. It happened with the Nintendo Switch. It happened with the Breath of the Wild Master Edition. They're not really, new to this whole thing. It's kind of like, okay, cool. Definitely when they started, when that interview happened with Polygon, where a Walmart representative kind of started talking to them and kind of clarifying all the concerns that people had, saying that all the SNES Classic Edition pre-orders would get canceled, then it was serious, because at that point we all received emails, and then it's like, okay, they messed up. Yeah. So it definitely sucks, I think, because it's one of those things that when you're able to do that and inform people kind of like, hey, look, here, pre-order this, I have a good feeling about doing that, because I know that a lot of people want it, and I know that I'm helping someone out get it.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important, but the fact that they had canceled it, it does suck, just because now everyone again has to start all over and kind of find their pre-order some way somehow in case they do it.
Yeah.
So I was very upset, but I was just like, okay, fine, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing is this: I don't like. So when the NES Classic went up and there was no pre-orders, Target put the pre-orders up, and they did the same thing, somewhat the same thing, where they put the pre-orders up, and then they started canceling. But they started canceling because they just didn't listen to Nintendo. They put up the pre-orders without getting their allocation from Nintendo.
Right.
So then they had to start because they overbooked.
Yeah.
I assumed that was going to be what happened here. I never in a million years thought Walmart would come back and go, nah, everybody's canceled. Like, that blew me away that they would do that. I really thought, like, okay, this is nuts. Like, I really didn't expect that level of issue with this, I guess.
Yeah. And what's hard about that too is, being from a customer standpoint, and I was talking to a couple people about that because they were questioning, like, what are your thoughts about that? It sucks for the customer, because especially when they put pre-orders up like that, you kind of like assume, oh, okay, cool, like they have finally officially opened pre-orders, so you're not having to worry about, oh, do I have to get it somewhere else? So when in that scenario, it kind of just sucks, because if I was the company, I would have been like, you know what, we messed up, definitely, but I think we'll just maintain the orders as is and honor our own mistake, because, we were the ones that caused it. Sure, they probably didn't have any allocation, but at least, that should have been the way it did, or at least something complimentary just to kind of like compensate for their own mistake.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, as a company, putting myself in their shoes, I want them to come back.
Yeah.
So it kind of leaves people in a really sour taste as, damn, like, I messed up, but I have to do it. So it's very one of those type of things that you kind of don't really know how to go, but if I were them, I would just honor it and kind of leave it at that. That would be the easiest thing for them to do.
Okay, so Nintendo Talk Patrick just posed a question. He said, do you think that the SNES Classic will be easier to get than the NES Classic?
Well, so considering like Nintendo's been talking about, wanting to create more, at least allocate more than the NES Classic, it's still really hard to kind of like predict how well this thing will sell, just because like there's many things like the NES Classic, that thing sold out really quickly day one and pre-stocked and sold out. Switch has been doing the same thing. So Nintendo has been really hitting people directly and getting like really good products. So a lot of people like will buy it for their families and stuff. I definitely anticipate this thing to sell out. Even though they might allocate more, there's a big demand for it. Yeah. And a lot of people will import it. They'll find any way they can to get hands on it. Like, there are people who pre-ordered from Amazon UK. I definitely did, because, you want to get one. So that's what happens.
Yeah.
The demand is too high, and I think it will sell out just for how it's been going.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Real quick, PK Ben is in the house now. He said hello. Blazing Gamer, he's saying hello. What is up, guys? Lucas Lore, he's got a question. He's saying, do you think GameStop / ThinkGeek will hoard them and sell them later in bundles?
Okay, so I saw that happen recently with the NES Classic this week. Mm-hmm. I was very upset with it. And it's definitely something that I didn't tweet out, just because I don't condone that. Yeah. It's something that I'm like, you know what, like, I get it. Sometimes these companies, they try to bundle things so they can make a little bit of profit out of it. But it's kind of like, it's unfortunate because they take some sort of advantage over it. Yeah. I think, and it's happened before. GameStop has done it before, and we've seen it in other places. It's possible. Yeah. It's possible that they could sell it that way.
Yeah. Years ago, I used to work at Best Buy. I'm talking like 15 years ago, something like that. And when I worked there, the discount that Best Buy offers is you pay 5% above costs. So when consoles come out, you don't get that much of a discount. Like, it's maybe $5 off or something like that. Like, there's not a lot of margin for these companies in that. But whenever we would buy, like, at the time, you used to have printer cables were the big thing back at this time. Printer cables, you would go into Best Buy and it'd be $40-$50. We would pay $1, $2.
Wow.
Because that's where the markup is. At the time, you had to buy a printer cable. But you didn't have to buy the computer. So they would try to sell the computer as cheap as possible because they knew they had you on the other stuff, all the accessories and all that. So I get why a little bit. I mean, I think it's shady business practice, but I get why, you know, GameStop and ThinkGeek now are doing this stuff because they want to sell the other stuff that doesn't move off the shelves or fly off the shelves. But at the same time, it's like, man, like people were pissed and calling them scalpers and stuff, and I'm like, well, they're not really scalping in that sense of the word, but they're just using shady business tactics in my mind anyway. And I just think it's not cool. I don't like it.
I don't like it either, just because there are times where not only will they bundle one product, it's usually like 2 to 3, and it's like double if not triple the cost of what it originally cost. Yeah. So I don't like it. I think, you know, it's hard to say like, hey, you know, get a day of launch. A lot of people miss it just because of like work reasons. But I think, you know, people still fall into it just because they really want it, and that kind of sucks because you're like put in a really bad situation. Yeah. But I mean, I think they get the point. If people don't buy it even with the bundles, then they'll be like, okay, fine, we'll just sell the standalone, just make a quick buck out of it, and that's it.
Well, the thing of it is like even with the bundles, they were still cheaper than scalpers were selling it for on eBay. Like that's the crazy thing. Like my wife was looking yesterday. I just said to her, I said, just out of curiosity, just go look and see what they're selling for. And there's a guy that has sold 100 of them so far, and he's got a picture of them with a bunch of them, and he's selling them for $300 a piece. And I'm like, this is sad. Like it's really brutal to see that there's people out there. But I feel like, and I've talked about this on If We Ran Nintendo with Sean numerous times, I feel like Nintendo has validified the scalper by cutting off the NES Classic the way they did. When day one, when people can't get pre-orders and these things blow out the doors, you're going to have people that really want this thing that are going to go right to eBay and be like, you know what, I'm going to get it now before it goes way up later on. And these guys are going to have like the ability just to write checks at this point. It's sad. Yeah. Blazing Gamer put, after Walmart canceled all the pre-orders, I think the margin for error just exploded, and this is just a warning of what's to come. What do you guys think?
So I think those type of things happen, right? Like, I mean, it's not the first time that retailer has messed up in that way. Yeah. I think most retailers at this point kind of like oversee other companies' mistakes, and especially if there is like some sort of like embargo with Nintendo, being that they have a specific date to when, if they open pre-orders, at least what Target has confirmed. So it's one of those things that I think they, at some point, they know when to open it. Now they're just waiting for it to happen, and now cautiously looking, just because they already saw what happened with Walmart. Most of these retailers are really great about it, though. Like Amazon, I mean, now, especially with like Nintendo products, they try to like put it a day of launch, which kind of sucks. But
it's
I
crazy,
mean,
right? It's
things have changed. Yeah. Things have changed.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know what? Like, we have to, you know, just keep an eye on things.
I think personally, like, okay, so this sucks. It's bad. You know what I mean? But I don't think it's the end of the world. Like, if this was, here's where I would find a bigger issue with this. Let's say every other retail chain had already put up their pre-orders, and they've all sold out. And this is the last ditch, you know, process. And maybe it's a situation where Walmart oversells, because maybe the glitch is that, oh, we left it on for too long and we oversold by way too much. We have to shut it down. We got to cancel everybody's orders because we didn't have enough allocation for this. Now let's put them back up and go a second time. That to me would be the bigger issue than this. Or if they just said like, hey, the first, see, and that's what I just fall back on. Like, I think they should have said, like, look, we're going to freeze this at this point. Once we get our allocation from Nintendo, we will then cancel anybody that lost out. You know what I mean? Like, let's say, hypothetically, their allocation comes in and Nintendo is giving them 1 million units. Yeah, and that's way over the number. But let's just say it's 1 million units. And then they've actually pre-ordered or sold for pre-order 1.5 million. Sadly, the 500,000, you're not going to get it. We're sorry. We're going to cut you loose and just move. I don't understand why they just didn't wait till their numbers came to just then go, you know, okay, this is what we're going to do. It just blows me away, honestly. I don't get that at all.
And it happens. And you know what? Like, I mean, looking from like retailers like Best Buy, Amazon, I mean, I applaud those too, just because the way they kind of like manage their own pre-orders to some extent, and kind of when people purchase stuff.
Yeah.
So when something goes out of sale, you can't add it back to the cart.
No.
They're not going to oversell it. It's
Yeah.
because I guess their system knows, hey, I have million units, right? That's as much as you can sell.
Yeah.
Sometimes people make like certain things to get a duplicate, but I mean, they're pretty good about that. And if they, do the whole thing about honoring pre-orders, at least, from like their own allocation, honoring those type of pre-orders like that, I think they would have been a really good place. Just because, you know what, it sucks, they messed up, but whatever, they'll find a way to honor it.
Let me ask you a question, because when this all went down,
Yeah.
Immediate outrage. Where do you feel? Because there's two places that people have been sending their outrage to Walmart, to Nintendo. Where do you feel the blame? I don't want to say the blame. Obviously, well, okay. I'm just gonna say, who do you feel wears the blame on this situation?
Walmart.
Okay.
I think Walmart, the retailer, just because, you know what, they were the people who, it was a technical glitch according to what they had sent.
Yep.
So based off that, it's not Nintendo's fault. Nintendo hasn't, at least hasn't disclosed any information, at least to what we know, hasn't disclosed any information to retailers, or at least has, but hasn't been, they haven't officially said anything to where us, the consumer, knows.
Yeah.
Right. So it definitely is Walmart's end. It's not Nintendo to blame. Nintendo has no fault in that. They're specifying how many units each retailer is getting. The retailer is responsible on, making sure that those orders or those allocation of units go through.
Yeah.
So Walmart is definitely.
And I feel the same way. I did a Nintendo talk on it right after it happened, and my thing was like, look, it's Walmart's fault here. Like Walmart, whoever hit the button that made this thing go up for sale, it's their fault. They did this.
Yeah.
The only spot where I lay blame at Nintendo is I feel like they're too tight-lipped on situations like this. Like, if they just come out and said, hey guys, we're waiting for the FCC to give approval on this, it should take about a month or so, and once that's done, we're definitely putting these up for pre-order. I think then nobody freaks out like they do right now. But because when you go off of the NES Classic, where nobody knew if it was going to go up for pre-order, I mean, you got to think back. It was so bad with the NES Classic, people really got afraid that the Switch wasn't going to go up for pre-order. Like, they were like, it's just because they weren't talking, they weren't saying anything. And I just feel like that's where Nintendo just needs to stop being so conservative and just be like, okay, guys, here we go. This is what's going to happen. Calm down. And I don't blame Nintendo Japan. I don't blame Nintendo Europe. I blame Nintendo of America. I feel like they need to be more vocal with this stuff. Like, Reggie needs to just get out in front of this stuff and just be like, guys, I know you're upset that this happened. This sucks that this happened. We're sorry. But just relax. We will have pre-orders coming. We're going to let the store... Because that's ultimately what happens. It is Nintendo's choice whether or not these stores can pre-order or not. Because it's all based on the allocation. Like, they give them the allocation numbers well ahead, then the stores can pre-order. If Nintendo just says, like, guys, don't worry about it, the stores are going to have the numbers well in advance, go. I don't think this is the issue. And I think I get where some people's anger is, but placing this particular moment, the anger on Nintendo, is wrong. I feel like this is Walmart all day long. Like, Walmart screwed up here. You know what I mean?
And you know what's the thing? Like, I mean, I don't mean to, like, bash on anyone or whatever.
Yeah.
But there are times where Nintendo definitely has at fault in certain things. Like, most people will be like, oh, Nintendo did it. Oh, blame Nintendo. Sometimes they're not at blame. It's just the way things are done.
Yeah.
So going back to what you were saying, they, at least from what I've heard, it's not more of the FCC thing. It was mostly rumored. It wasn't really like nothing confirmed. But they did, I remember from the moment they had announced it, they did say that retail information would be coming soon. So I'm not sure if that's insinuating pre-orders or at least that information. The fact that they kind of said that kind of makes you assume. Yeah. But I think that they're smart about it, especially now. I mean, people always say, oh, no, they're going back to some of their roots, whatever. I think they're getting really smart about it. I think they're understanding, the NES Classic kind of came out. They're like, okay, cool, whatever. We know the amount of demand that this product had. Okay, let's kind of revisit where did we go at fault and how can we fix it? Yeah. And the fact that now they're saying, okay, look, we get it. they're being vocal, at least this time around, they're definitely being vocal about it is a limited product.
Yeah.
It will end at this end of the year.
Yes.
Before with the NES Classic, there wasn't that. It was kind of just
anything.
like they were talking.
Yeah.
Exactly. During the whole thing about when the Switch came out, or at least when the Switch was announced, they were saying that the NES Classic would still be around for a little bit,
Yeah.
and that's really much it. But now they're telling you, yeah, if you really want it, you have to get it at the end of this year. Like, that is your deadline.
Yeah.
So at least now they're giving you the heads up. They're also disclosing information, being like, retail information is coming soon, and we have to see. Like, we have to see how this will roll out in the coming months, just because this is coming like super soon.
So Lucas asked something or mentioned something. I want to hit that before we go to what Patrick said, because Patrick has a good thing I want to talk about. But Lucas is saying a digital distribution of these games might be a great way to combat scalpers. Since they're ROMs, easy money, virtual consoles, basically what he's saying. Do you agree with that? Like, do you think that if Nintendo was to say, like, hey, virtual consoles here, you could buy your games here, does that get people to less likely? Do you feel like there's a difference between virtual console and this, or do you feel like they're basically the same thing?
I think they complement themselves very well. I think most people would buy the SNES and still get their games. At least, we're getting that new Star Fox game that hasn't been released. Mm-hmm. I think that by the time Virtual Console releases, definitely people, I think, will be able to get it. Yeah. Just because it is a limited thing. Yeah. And I think they're going to really, they've done it already. They've been saying we're going to get a steady flow of content. I definitely see that happening with the Virtual Console, or at least I hope. So if people can't get it now with the SNES, I'm hoping that they'll be able to get it with Virtual Console. I think more people will they'll tend to buy both, just because there's that benefit of having Switch and taking it all and go, and also having this kind of thing that people have love, and just having it like in a small place, like little thing.
That's the thing for me anyway. Like, I look at this and I go, like, when I hear people say a comment like that, like, well, if they had it on, if you could buy Virtual Console, you wouldn't need it. And I kind of disagree in that, and the reason why I disagree is I have an NES Classic, right? So I have one right here.
Right.
I own 90% of those games already, but I wanted this controller. I wanted to play this this way. Like, it's just the way it typically happens, and and that's where and that's where. That's what Nintendo basically started off saying. That's what Reggie's answer was when they were like, well, why did you not make enough of these? And I'm like, we didn't think that the average person that owns 90% of these games was going to go after it. Like, we thought it was okay, it's cool looking. We know that some of those people will go after it. But they really underestimated completely. They just dropped the ball on the marketing, on the market of it. They just totally missed it. So it's... in that situation, I understand where they mess up. I just hope they learned from that and just really flood the market with these things. I really hope they do.
You know what? And I'm thinking it from like maybe their perspective and maybe how to do it. So I think the fact that they're doing it for a limited time kind of makes me think maybe they'll have some of these things like on Virtual Console, because of course they wouldn't want it to compete at the same time. Yeah. So definitely SNES would come out first, and then Virtual Console might come afterwards. Absolutely. So it's one of those things that I think just that they're working with the timing of it. So as soon as the SNES ends or whatever, when the production ends on it, I think we'll see that eventually. And getting back to your point, the fact that you have it, definitely they didn't expect it. Mm-hmm. They didn't think people would rebuy it. It was their first Classic Edition product. So, they had a great response for the NES, and that definitely opened a lot of different opportunities for the future Classic Edition products, especially now with the SNES. So I think there's a really good opportunity for more products like that in the future. And again, getting back to it, I think most of those stuff, if you're able to get the NES or the SNES, hopefully we'll see it in the Virtual Console at some point. So you can at least try it out.
So you started this whole thing based on Amiibo.
And
I basically got popular at one point based off of Amiibo as well. Like when I was doing the Geek Guru prior, it was a YouTube channel I had prior to this. Amiibo was what fueled me and got me to the point where I finally was like, okay, I'm going to go Nintendo Guru. And so the question that Patrick is asking is, are they back? Like the resurgence? What's your feeling on these things?
So definitely I think there's a lot of resurgence in some Amiibo. I think it's not as crazy as before, just because most people kind of have learned Nintendo has upped their production, on these figurines. Back then, it was more out of people wanting to collect them or trying to make money off of it. So they kind of created that scarcity. Now it's not so much of that. I think Nintendo has learned in that sense, like, yeah, let's create more because definitely people want to get it. There are people who buy many of them, either they're collecting or either they're customizing. Yeah. So I think it depends what amiibo figure or at least series they're making, and also what type of functionality it has associated with it. Yeah. So I think, more down the future, I think depending on how they do their games and how they implement amiibo functionality, I think that will depend on whether or not how they will sell well or not. Because at this point, we've kind of have expected a lot of things out of amiibo, just, with Breath of the Wild amiibo, how there's a lot of items that come associated with it. Those are great. There's a lot in there. The Shovel Knight amiibo has a lot of things to offer in game. So games like that have a lot to offer in this figurine, not just because you're looking at it, it's just people really care at this point, what does it offer and how does that cross over into other games? Yeah. That's what people look at. So as long as they are great with that, people will buy it. Yeah. And the quality has been improving from like day one till now. Like it has improved dramatically. Yeah. So that's another factor. Yeah. If they have all those, they're good. They're good. People will buy it. They'll continue to up production because people want it and they want the money, so they'll do it. Yeah,
I got this one today.
Yeah,
this amiibo is phenomenal. It is really cool. It's really awesome. The thing is, and because Patrick he follows up and he says I have not seen a Splatoon 2 amiibo in the wild. And here's my feeling is, so me coming from the very beginning, when they blew out the first time. Iwata at the time was just like, we have more coming, but they never said anything beyond that. They never said when or any of that. If you look at when the initial Breath of the Wild amiibo sold out, the time between the sellout and the restocks was so short. It's not even funny. Yeah. Where when amiibo originally sold out, it was like months, like 9 months before we even heard anything about restocks. So I definitely think
being perfect example, like Amazon exclusive. We saw that July when it came out. Yeah. We didn't see it until it came to other stores. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think we're in a place now where you may not see it initially, but I think in a couple weeks you'll start seeing this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the way it's going to be. Like, you're totally going to start seeing restocks, especially with Splatoon. Splatoon is so big right now, there will be restocks of this. I think within 2 months, you'll see them hitting the store shelves again. Like, it's just, I wouldn't even be surprised, honestly, if you saw the original Splatoon packs start to hit shelves again. Like, it's crazy right now. It's huge. Splatoon is massive for Nintendo right now, and it's crazy how wonderful it's doing, honestly, to think.
That game is a system seller. Like, there's a lot of people who definitely did not get the Wii U, and they're kind of being introduced to this whole thing of amiibo game, and it is a great opportunity for them to kind of go back into that and restock certain figurines, just because, like what you're saying, like going back, if you remember when the original Splatoon amiibo came out, we didn't see a restock the way we see restock now. Like, it took a whole long while, and people were very pissed about it. Yeah. So hopefully, like, I mean, they're continuing to get better as it is. I see, like, the 30th anniversary amiibo, like, for Legend of Zelda, we're seeing restocks already. So that's a good sign.
And
so it's like,
the thing of it is, if you remember the original amiibo, right? So they did the Kraken, and they did the Boy and the Girl Inkling in the 3-pack. And if you remember, at the time, Europe, apparently a truck filled with these amiibo got stolen, right? Which I think is BS, because you never heard them pop up ever again. You never heard about, like, eBay getting flooded with all these things or whatever. But regardless, apparently the truck got stolen, had all these amiibo in it, and because Toby couldn't get the Kraken. It's the one he couldn't get. He could get the Boy and the Girl. He couldn't get the Kraken because they canceled his order because they said the truck got stolen. And but like, the people were upset because of the fact of, like, these things had additional gameplay built on them. You know, where if you scanned in the Boy Amiibo, you could get this gear. Like, I think he was a samurai suit. But in order to get the samurai suit, you had to go into these one-player campaigns, do these different tricks or different things, these skill portions of the game to unlock all this stuff. Where this one, it's more like you scan it in, you just get the item. It is what it is.
Right.
So I think that, like, the turnaround on this one's going to be much greater than it was on the original series, personally. That's just my feeling.
Definitely. And you can get the sales already as it is. Like, they are doing way better than the original Splatoon within only 3 days of its launch. Comparing the original Splatoon and Splatoon 2 game sales, there's a big difference right there.
Huge.
Most people definitely dodge Wii U, and they're like, I'm not getting it. Splatoon 2 Switch, perfect combination.
Oh, it was amazing. Like, it's just... I think they said in Japan, it did like 640,000 units within like 2 or 3 days. They said it was more than Zelda. The attach rate is... that's the other thing. Like, the attach rate for this Switch is mind-blowing. Like, 83% for Zelda? That is nuts to think that they've sold 4.7 million Switches, and 83% of those are... 83% of them, people bought a copy of Zelda. Like, that's just... nuts.
And you know what? They're doing a great job. A lot of people were so pissed during the Wii U days because, like, the games, many people were complaining that they were not good, blah, blah, blah. Like, now they're giving us the games we want. I think they're listening to more of, like, people's feedback on it and giving quality games. Of course, like, quality over quantity is a big difference, and they're definitely taking quality. So, again, Splatoon 2 is crazy in Japan. You know, like, you've heard the whole thing about them raffling Switch systems.
Yep.
That is crazy.
That's nuts.
The amount of demand for this thing.
You know what,
it's
though?
Phenomenal.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want them to do that in the United States, ever. But you got to admit, it's a phenomenal way to kill scalping. Because, you know what I mean? Like, how... okay, you go there, but you're not guaranteed to get one. You know what I mean? Like, you may still put it up on eBay. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like... I have just as much chance as a scalper does. And guess what? That scalper's only getting one. He's not getting 15, 20 of them. You know what I mean? So the odds are better in your favor than here. Here, it's just a matter of a guy has a computer that has a program that can just randomly order as many as possible. It's just nuts. Okay, real quick. Dave Ray is here. Yep. What's up, Dave? Tony Baker.
Hello.
He said that we need a polygonal Mario amiibo a la Mario 64. That'd be kind of different, kind of cool. Garrett Bland, he said he's playing Splatoon 2 right now. So, Garrett, we'll be playing soon, Garrett. Just relax over there.
I'm joining. I'm going.
No, you're not allowed to join. You're
okay.
You're banned from my Splatoon games anymore.
Okay. I'm out.
You and Jason Lacey made me sell trade-in arms because I got beat so bad at arms. I was like, I don't want to do it this time. I'm done. And
we only played a few times. Like, it wasn't like something.
Smoking me. Me and Sean the next day were like, dude, Josue is amazing at this game. I'm like, I couldn't even move, man. I'm like, I just moved to the left, and he's like pounding me with three or four shots. It was nuts.
Dude, and going to that, okay, so when they announced Switch, right, I was one of those people. I secretly kind of like kept it to myself. I wasn't up for arms. I thought, what is this game? What are they doing? Yeah. When we had that global test punch, I was like, this is my game. Like, it felt so right to me. Like, it's my favorite game. Like, I mean, Splatoon 2 is so hard to put down.
Oh
and
my god.
There's one thing I want to talk about, and it kind of like, I'm glad the way Nintendo's doing it, but ARMS, believe it or not, for people who don't own it, it's such a great game. You really have to learn it, but it's a great game. And I am sort of not... I'm upset, but I'm not super upset about it. It's that I feel like the release dates on ARMS and Splatoon 2 were so close that now definitely Splatoon 2 overshadowed ARMS. Like, not a lot of people are going back to it. And I'm like, like, it's such a great game. I wish people were to go back to it. But, I mean, of course, they're giving you guys what you want. Yeah. But they're doing an amazing job. Yeah.
Patrick says, since Splatoon 2 came out so early in the life of Switch, will we see a Splatoon 3 on this console when all is said and done?
I don't know. They definitely said that they wanted to bring at least their fan favorite franchises, at least one of each, fan favorite franchise, onto Switch.
Yeah.
We don't know what the lifetime of Switch will be. It definitely looks like it's going to last a good amount
This
of
is
time.
going to be forever, man. So they have a 20-year deal with Nvidia.
Yeah.
So that's huge right there. I feel like this model is what we're going to have for a very long time. Like this setup with the dock and the
Yes,
handheld and all that
I think
stuff.
so too.
It's
Even
selling
if they
too
were
well.
to revamp it in the future, like if they were to, like even upgrade maybe the specs in a couple of years from now,
Yeah.
but still kind of keep that whole idea of the hybrid system,
Yeah.
maybe. But again, it's still too early. Like
Yeah.
Switch came out in March, we're already like in July.
I
Like
know. It's hard to say.
it's so early.
I mean,
yeah,
the way it's going. I mean, if we don't have a crystal ball, we don't know the future or whatever. But the way it's going, you think it and you look at it, you go, this is going to last for a very long time. This is going to continue to flow for an extremely long time. If that's the case, I think yes, we will see a Splatoon 3. I don't think we see a Splatoon 3 for 5-6 years. It was very quick between Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2. But I don't think that Nintendo wants to get into a situation where they're constantly just putting out a 3 and a 4 and trying to convince people to go over. I think what we'll see is probably every couple of years they'll do, or maybe once a year, they'll do expansion packs where they'll go, okay, here you go, here's, Rise of the Octoling or whatever, and you buy it and it's $40 and it comes with a whole bunch of new weapons and a bunch of new maps and all that stuff, and then it's just like go, kind of like the Destiny model. I think we could see this stay the course for a few years, and then when it's kind of ran its course and it needs to get like fresh and a new update, then they'll do this stuff. They've already committed to what 1 year of
1 year free DLC and then 2 years of Splatfest. So they definitely have time to work on it.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely, it will give enough people the time to play Splatoon 2.
Yeah.
I think definitely at the point where Splatoon 2 ends its course of like Splatfest, maybe they'll start working on something at that. If not, we'll move on to something else. Yeah. But they're doing a great job with that. I love it.
Yeah.
Every weekend we're getting something new.
Well, that's the way it was with the original Splatoon. So the original Splatoon, they had talked about it, but we didn't know what it entailed. So I remember the original Splatoon, like the first week, they gave us, I think, the brush, similar to what they did with this one, and then the next week was Kelp Dome, and then the next week they went to the NZAP, then they went to another map, and it was like flip flop, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah,
I truly feel like next week we're getting a new map. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're definitely going to get a new map, maybe 2. I don't know. But we're definitely getting a new map without a doubt next week, and this is the way it's going to be. You're going to get a map, a weapon, map, maybe a couple of weapons, but this is the way it'll go for the next year. You're going to constantly get updates. Do you think we're going to see maps from Splatoon 1 show up?
I think to bring some of the original Splatoon maps. I think we might see new ones just because they did. Okay, cool. We'll get you guys like 7 or 8 maps. I think it's 8 maps that we have right now available in the game. I think they'll probably push towards new maps just because most people. That's the whole thing about making a sequel, right?
Yeah.
Like giving people new content. Now, if people demand like an old map specifically, then I might see them doing it. But I think they're really trying to push to making new stuff, and I think that's what's working so well for them.
Yeah, I think we won't. I think at some point we'll start to see some of the Splatoon 1 maps. I just don't see it being anytime soon. I think it'll be later on. I mean, well, that's not really true because we already got two maps that are basically Splatoon 1 maps. Moray Towers, and then the port one with the sea containers all over the place. They just changed the flow of the sea container one to make it a little bit different than the original. But Moray Towers are identical to Splatoon 1. Like, there's no difference at all.
And I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Like, that map, don't touch it. Leave it as it is. People loved it for a reason. And bringing it back, more people love it. Like, it's so good.
I'm starting to lose you a little bit. I think, okay, I think you're back a little bit.
Okay.
Your hotel internet is a mess.
It is a mess.
That's what I wanted to tell people. Like, this is not, Josue is on vacation, and he was like, we're going to do this today. We were initially, I'm gonna call you out. We were supposed to do this tomorrow, and he messages me a little bit. He goes, "Okay, 10:30, you ready?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like tomorrow at 10:30. He's like, "No, today." And I'm like, "Okay, I guess we'll go today." And you're like, "Oh my god, I forgot. It is tomorrow." So it's
totally
but you're on vacation, so you were like, which is no big deal. It's fine. But it's
to me, like the dates got mixed up. Yeah. So this vacation that I had is one of those things that I didn't anticipate. Like I had it found out Tuesday, Wednesday. So I was like, oh, this is really close. I didn't know that I was going on vacation.
No, it's
so my dates got mixed. But I mean, again, thank you for everyone who's watching. Thank you, Bobby.
Luke Lure has a fun question for us. He says, "How will Nintendo preserve their titles from the motion control era? Update Mario Galaxy with dual sticks? Still use motion, remaster/remake? Like, where do you see them going with some of their like Wii era games?"
Oh, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot about motion controls that I like and some that I don't like, depending on how the way they did it.
Yeah.
I don't know. To be honest, I'm not such of a fan of like motion controls, just because kind of like I had a really bad experience with it during the Wii U days, so I kind of like just went the standard way of doing it.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they can find some way to kind of adjust it to where people are actually using it and it's actually really precise, then great. I know, like it sucks. I love Star Fox. Star Fox Zero is a little because of the motion controls in it. So
bad.
Yeah, I can't even say I can't even say like it was great. There's just so many things wrong with it. But I know that hopefully they'll improve on that now, just because they know what they did wrong. So hopefully with Switch now, they'll do it better.
I think that well, look, it's obvious that there is motion control within Switch, and it's basically like with Odyssey. The idea is like if you basically use Alejandro Buendia, like stop.
Yeah.
Star Fox Zero is not awesome. It is okay at best.
The story. Okay, so quickly to add on to it, it felt very similar to Star Fox 64 to some extent. Yes. I was okay with it just because it's been a while since I played with it.
Yeah.
But there are moments during my gameplay that I was very frustrated because of the motion controls. It wasn't like super accurate to the way I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But I mean, I beat the game in a day.
Yeah.
Day I got it, day of launch, I beat it. It was kind of one of those that it's like it was too short for me to really enjoy it with the whole frustration that I had with it.
Dude, I give you credit because I couldn't beat it. I was getting so pissed at the controls. I remember at the one, it was kind of a dog fight pretty early in the thing.
Oh my god, yeah.
And I'm like flying, and like my ship is grinding up against this gigantic ship. I'm like, oh, I gotta move off the ship. It was like so confusing. The two, it was Patrick. Star Fox is not fantastic. You guys are delusional, man. Just stop it.
I love Star Fox. Star Fox. Well, like I didn't play Star Fox Adventure at least when it was like out.
Yeah.
But definitely my first game was 64, and I think that was such a great game, and I had so much anticipation for it just because it was kind of like that, but they brought it over to the Wii U.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was cool. I revisited. I definitely want something new out of it now in case they bring it onto Switch. So I mean, overall, I think it could have been improved a lot, but now we'll see.
You know what? You must be doing crack over there, Alejandro. He said it's the best game on the Wii U. Not even close, man. Not even close. You guys.
Best game on Wii U was Splatoon 2.
Yeah.
Splatoon 2.
Yeah.
Best game. At least that and Smash Brothers. Those two were really great.
Yeah. There was a lot of great games on the Wii U, man. It's nuts. But for
Mario
me,
Maker. Yeah.
Mario Maker was good. I look at like Captain Toad was a lot of fun.
Oh wow!
I love the remakes that they did of like Wind Waker. I thought Wind Waker was phenomenal on Wii U. It was just so good. But to answer Luke real quick, like when you look at Odyssey is a motion control game. You could use a Pro controller, but at the same time, like if you're running with Mario straight, and I take my right Joy-Con and I flip to my right, he'll throw Cappy to the right. You can't do controlled throws with Cappy when you're using the Pro controller. It only basically throws in front of Mario. But if you have Cappy, you can throw down. You can wherever you want to go with Cappy, you can throw the hat. So that being said, I could definitely see like a Galaxy being ported later on, not now. I think maybe in 10 years you might see them go, okay, let's bring back like Galaxy 1, Galaxy 2, let's remaster them or whatever. I think it's definitely going to happen when Miyamoto is long gone. Just because Miyamoto's basically come out and said he doesn't want them, he doesn't want to remaster or mess with games that he's already done in the past. He'd rather work on new games than old games remastered. And then when people look at it and go, oh, what about Zelda? Zelda, he's kind of hands off anymore. And Zelda isn't really the same. Mario he's called Mario many times, like his child. Like this is his first game that he created, the first character that he created. With Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong was the first game he worked on. Mario was obviously the villain in it at the time, and not really the villain. He was the protagonist in it, but he was the hero of the game, of it at the time. So it's totally different, But Mario it was called Jumpman at the time. Mario was the hero in that game, so that was the one that he created, and then Mario Brothers comes out later on, then Super Mario Brothers, and it just takes off from there, obviously. But he's always looked at Mario as his child, and it's just a creator thing. And as much as he might like Link and might like Zelda, it's just not the same thing for him, I feel. Same thing with Star Fox and all the other characters. Like, Mario's his baby. So I think he still has a lot more say over the Mario universe than he does with the other ones and all that stuff. So I think that it's going to be a while before we see a lot of remaster games. Like, they still haven't done Mario 64. And that's a game that really needs to be remastered. It doesn't look that good anymore, and the controls are bad. Like, the camera is bad. So it's going to be interesting to see how that opens.
You know which kind of, at least what Mario I'd like to get remastered in some way somehow?
What's that?
Sunshine.
I would too, man. Because again, the camera wasn't great. The camera got glitchy at times.
Yeah.
And that's one that I started playing, and I put it down because I hit a level. It was in the water levels, and I just couldn't. The camera kept wonking out on me, and I couldn't get past it. I got so frustrated, put the game down, and never went back to it. And it's sad. I would love. I mean, I have it. I've thought about going back and playing it again, but I just haven't done it since.
It's such a great game, and if they improve it, like with there's that whole rumor of GameCube games coming to Switch. Not known yet, hopefully, right? Yeah. Crossing fingers on that. But if it does, I'd love to see that game come over. It was definitely one of my favorites. Like I don't know what his stance on it, with like recreating games, because we've seen people do that. But I think the cool thing about like a developer creating a game so iconic like Mario, it's that you've seen Mario's progression throughout his history, at least, and you've seen how well it has improved. So it's one of those things that maybe he doesn't want to come back to it just because he seems like the new, at least a better direction in the future as he takes Mario with other games. Yeah. So it's kind of like not looking back at some errors, but just moving forward and just recreating like new storylines, or just making it a whole lot better, just moving forward and going back.
Yeah, I agree. Dave Ray, I think I coined the phrase "hot trash" in the summer, and Sean loves when I say that about stuff. And I see it popping up all over the place, and I laugh every time I see it. So that was funny, Dave. We're gonna wrap up on this. The N64. You saw the specs of the patent and all that. You think it was just coincidence, or do you think we're getting an N64 Classic?
I don't know. It's one of those things that, you kind of see this pattern with what they're going, and you're hoping that it is a Nintendo 64 Classic. I hope so. I hope that they would go that way. Yeah. But it would be, from looking at some of the games that have been on Nintendo 64, there is a lot of problems with licensing on some of the games. Mm-hmm. But I'm just hoping that, they do it. Because there's a lot of different generations of like systems, and not necessarily all of us grew up in the same system. But if they can give a little to every generation back, they'd make money. They're making money as it is. They'll make more money if they continue doing it.
So here's the question:
Yeah.
If they do an N64 Classic, do you feel that Nintendo works with Microsoft to get some of the rare games on this Classic?
I don't know.
It's a tough one. I think that if any time it's going to happen, now's the opportunity, because Phil Spencer is very open to working with people. I think the relationship between Nintendo and Microsoft has been opened up a lot because of the whole crossplay thing with Minecraft. So I really think that, like, if there's an opportunity to get like Banjo and Conquer and Blast Corps and all these great games that were on there, like Perfect Dark series and stuff, like, I really think, like, if anything, because that's really, honestly, to me, the N64 is more of a rare machine. Like, so many of the great games that were of that genre, of that era, are rare games. You know what I mean? Like, they basically pushed Nintendo through that because that was the beginning of third party starting to pull away. You know, that's where Square left and went to Sony. Like, they were tired of the cartridge base. They wanted, you know, CD based games. And, you know, Final Fantasy VII left Nintendo. Square left Nintendo and went to Sony and put Final Fantasy VII over on Sony. So I think that, like, that's Rare was the company that, like, pushed Nintendo and held on through it all. So it's going to be interesting to see if that can happen. But I think if anybody's willing to work with Nintendo, and if Nintendo's willing to work at any time, Phil Spencer's the guy that I think could get it done and make it happen. And I would be amazing. Like, that would be just so amazing.
I think the fans definitely would appreciate it. I'm not sure, you know, if they'll do it, but I think it would be a great opportunity just because a lot of people would buy it.
Oh, yeah, man.
A lot of people would buy it, and there's a good library of games there.
Absolutely.
A lot.
Josue, thank you so much for doing this. This was a blast. I say it's funny because as I've been doing more and more of these live shows, the first few live shows that I did, I would have, like, questions, and I would blow through all the questions, and then I would, like, stumble, and so because I couldn't flow like I normally do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you and I have done live stuff so many times that it's like a no-brainer. I can breeze, and we can bounce off each other so well. So I think this is, like, what, the fourth time that we've done a live thing? Like, one time was with me, right? We did the one with me, you, and Gonda Chris. We did stuff. And then we did two of your streams on whatever the hell that thing was. I forget what it was. What was that thing you were doing at the time?
I was doing something with Shindig, which was a platform. It's all, but rolling forward.
Dude, that thing was like so. I was out of my element. I was just like, okay, just put me here and I'll figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, we'll figure it out. That was weird, man. It was cool though. It was different. That was cool. It was definitely cool. And then here we are with this one. So let everybody know where they can find you at and talk to you and hound you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so our new website is up, so you guys can check us out now on NinMobileNews.com, and we're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, so you can check us all on there. Nin Mobile News, just search it, you'll find it. Go to the website, we have all the links on the top right-hand corner, so you'll be able to see everything, and you can follow us on there. We also have our YouTube channel, which we do some gameplays. I definitely want to get that more into doing other, more original videos on there than just gameplay. So we're going to continue growing, but again, thank you, Bobby, for all your support. I know that you give me shout-outs all the time, and thank you. Seriously. And the community.
Dude, I do what I love, man. I love you. You know that. Come on, stop.
Love you too. Thank you so much.
For myself, you can obviously find me at Nintendo Gurus. This is obviously the YouTube channel, so if you're not a subscriber, it'd be awesome if you could subscribe. That is all, man. Thank you. We're going to do this again. I'm gonna make you come back again because it's not gonna be like 10 months from now. We're gonna do it sooner than that. So
perfect.
This is a lot of fun with you. So thank you everybody in the chat that came and hung out tonight, man. This was amazing. I'm gonna take about a 10-minute break, and then we're gonna play some Splatoon 2. So if you guys are interested in playing Splatoon 2, stick around. I have a new layout ready to go, all brand new. It's gonna be fun. So there we go. So that is all. See me later.